So anyways, I made a bad move and I captured here, rook takes, and I played d4, threatening this knight. And I figured, you know what, my attack is slowed down, but I'm still up, and I still have a lead in a lot of ways. I'm up a pawn, and two of his pawns are doubled here, which is just horrible. And I felt very good about my position. So here I played d4 first to move his knight, and then I made an imperfect move. I played f4, and what I wanted to do was cut his queen off of the attack here, and I went ahead and hung this pawn on purpose, because if he takes, which he did, and it worked out okay for me, he fell for it, then I can play queen to g7, and here I have all kinds of discovered checks. My opponent played rook h3, and you can see here at this point, say knight h4 check. He could walk into some problems here if he makes the wrong move. We have a checkmate. He'd have to play back this way, and I still have this check, king e2, and I win the rook. So I didn't see that variation though. That's too bad. At this point, again, I was nervous and I wanted to just get material off the board. I didn't like his queen being strong out here. I didn't like his rook being on this open file finally, and excuse me. Again, I was under time pressure, so I made a bad move. Played rook h8, rook takes, knight takes. He played king f1. This is a check, obviously, you know. King f1, and I played e5, tidying up my center. Now I'm still winning here, but I gave back the pawn, and then I traded down material when I had the initiative, and I've got strong pawns here in the middle. His pawns are looking very weak, but they can slow me down, and I'm still winning here. But man, there was a much better move back here. Knight h4 check. You know, all this to win that rook. So unfortunately, I made the wrong move. I was under time pressure. I didn't see. To be honest, I don't tend to leave the queens on the board very often this late in the game, and so I miss a lot of those tricky checkmate patterns. I need to spend more time in tactics books, I guess, looking those things up and noticing those patterns. I'll see them more. All right. So my opponent, after e5, after I tightened up my pawns here, he played c3, and I played queen d7. And now I'm looking for a queen trade. And I evaluated the endgame improperly and saw it as a win for black. C takes, e takes, d4. And in reality here, this game is drawn at best, and it's possible that white can even win after they win this pawn here. I didn't see that his king would come right out, and my opponent didn't either, and made a losing move, or a drawing move at best, knight to d2. This lets me come out with my knight. Now king e2 is too late. I play knight e5, and you see now he can't get his king in. My pawn covers this square, and my knight covers these, and this king's cut off. My opponent makes another poor move, and it's clear at this point that my endgame knowledge is far superior to my opponent's. Except that I didn't evaluate my endgame properly, and actually traded down into a losing endgame when I had a one middle game. He played b3 here. Better would have been knight to b3. I'd played d3 check, king d2, king c7. He's piling up on this pawn. He's going to win it, and we're going to trade there. Knight takes, king takes. This game is probably drawn. Black doesn't have any winning chances really, unless my opponent continues to play poorly in the endgame. For example, if like I'd play king to d5 here to keep my opponent from this square, so he can't win this pawn, and he has to back off. I'll move my pawns up this way, and we'll just hopefully I can win by just superior endgame knowledge. It seems like he wasn't able to mobilize his king as well as he should have been, and should have known better. So I could have won here, but this is definitely a drawn position against equal players. But he made a mistake. He played b3 here. This lets me play king c7. I'm just bringing my king down the board here, and then he plays knight c4, initiating a trade, which is just awful. Because I don't need this. Okay, you can see this position here. I get to play king c6. Now watch, king d3, king c5. And he can't move his king now. As soon as he moves his king, I take this pawn. He can't cover his pawn here. This is very basic endgame stuff. You'll see this in all sorts of endgame books where White's in Zugzwang here. He doesn't want to move with his king, and so a4 is forced here, else he loses the pawn, and then a5 blocks it up, and now he has to move his king. Now, this is just classic pawn and king endgame stuff. This is stuff that every player at the 1,000 rating or higher needs to start studying and understanding how these dynamics work. So a5. He has to move out king e4, attacking this pawn, at which point king c4 just wins. King takes d3. He has to chase. I move forward with my pawn. And now he starts thinking, well, maybe he can queen a pawn of his own, but he's going to be too slow. He has to follow me, or else I queen right away. f5, and I have a queen check. King e3. And at this point, my opponent should have resigned, but he was still hoping I'd make a blunder. So I played basically very conservative here. I'm sure there's better lines. I'm sure you all analyze this and see that there's much faster wins for black, but to be honest, I wasn't worried. His pawn's 3 ranks away from queening, which is just a definite win for black. If his pawn was on the 7th rank, I'd have to play perfect to pull this off. But I didn't. f6 here. And now I'm cutting him off here. His king can't come to the defense of this pawn. I'm coming down here next move. Queen f8, f4. And you can see this is an easy win. Now, a funny thing happened right here. He played f5. I played queen takes f5. And my opponent disconnected his computer, and it said game adjourned. It's a cheap trick that people use on the free internet chess server sometimes. If they don't feel like having the loss against them, they'll just pull the plug on their computer, and it counts it as a disconnect, and the game is adjourned until the two of us can agree to finish it. So I contacted an admin and demonstrated the mate and 4 on the board, and they made me play it out against all the possibilities, and then gave me the win. So I was happy with that. I was disappointed in the unsportsmanlike conduct by my opponent, Dansan, on a free internet chess server. But everyone does their own thing. We play for our own reasons, and if he was worried about his rating and worried about the loss, I guess that's his right to try and take advantage of the system that way. But I was happy about the game. I was really excited about how it went out, and I hope it was instructional for you. And it definitely was for me. I learned a lot, and I'm going to keep going over this game over and over, and hopefully find some more cool things I could have done. But I hope you enjoyed it. Happy chess.